I'm Moit Synthiabis here, and I'm here, yeah, with PEScharlie.
Yo.
Okay, so guys, yeah, we're going to be watching a video, yeah, called Why Everyone Hates King in Tekken 8. I've only watched the first 5 seconds, and I can see this is going to be a pretty cool video, right? And we've obviously been playing Tekken 8 for 2 months, and we have our opinions about King and everything and all that. All we've just seen is complete hate that King is busted and just that this and that and that. And I have to be honest, I can't see it. He is strong, but I can't say he's busted. What do you think about that?
I do agree. I think he's got some really clear weaknesses, especially in key areas. It's like heat, even though he does have an amazing heat smash. But I'm kind of going into this with an open mind because I know that I'm not playing the game the way it's intended to be played. I'm still playing Tekken 7 in my head. So I'm actually kind of hoping I can unlock a new way of thinking through watching this video and maybe get me some more wins.
Yep. Same here. So, alright guys, obviously the original to the link is below because our faces are covering part of the video. But hey, I want to hear what this person's got to say. So, we're going to start right now.
I feel bad for King. Going from being the people's champion in Tekken 7 with Lil Majin's infamous EVO 2018 run to becoming the boogeyman of Tekken 8, being one of the most hated characters
Lil Majin, legend.
in the game. How did this happen? Why did this happen? Let's talk about it. Having appeared in every Tekken game since the original in 1994, King has become one of the most recognizable characters, not only in Tekken, but in the entirety of the fighting game genre. King has always been very popular in Tekken, and the nature of his design, that being of a grappler, in a game like Tekken, made it so that he's always seen a decent level of hate, especially in lower levels. But Tekken 8 has brought this to a whole new level. Everywhere you go, people are complaining about Tekken 8 King. Hell, just looking at my own comments, it's clear that King has consistently been one of the most hated characters since the launch of Tekken 8. People hate this guy. They hate him more than this, and even this. But why?
Really? Wow. Would you say he's more hated than Azicena right now?
I'll say it was very close between them, but now that Azicena has just got a massive nerf, King might overtake Azicena in hate. But
Yeah.
I do think the King hate has sort of begun to die down a little bit. It's definitely still there, but people seem to be less vocal about it now. There was like a week or two where it was non-stop.
Yeah. Man, this is just crazy. I notice I can't use the space button, the space bar. Space bar is not allowing me to use. I've got to use the mouse here, which is weird. But anyway, let's continue with this.
Let's start with the nature of this character. Being a grappler in a game where breaking grabs is very hard to do, especially for beginners, has always made him somewhat of a noob killer. Breaking grabs is hard. Even I've been struggling with it recently. And this ties to my first point, which is the system changes in Tekken 8. Let's be honest, grabs have never been better. They track to both sides now, completely invalidating sidesteps and sideblocks. They now become essentially unbreakable on counter hits, as the amount of time you have to break it becomes so small it's unreactable, and throws are now completely unbreakable when used to punish, making them incredibly powerful punish tools. Now, when the game first launched, King notoriously had his devastating chain throws actually being guaranteed when used to punish power crush moves, potentially giving him up to 100 damage off of a punish. This has fortunately been patched, but it is a little ridiculous that it took them over a month to fix this. So, grabs are pretty overpowered in Tekken 8. I think we can all agree with that. Combine that with most Tekken players who aren't super...
Look, you know... Everyone's been talking about that the glitch of countering someone with a chain grab, is a lot of damage and everything like and you couldn't be able to break out of any of it. Come on, as if we were able to attempt that, as if we were able to do that. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do a crouch dash into a chain grab, he's going to press a button and I know that my timing is going to counter him and I'll get the full thing. Like, a King player was really going to go for that.
Yeah, that is something that you would have to have the most insane read to actually pull that off. I can say I probably did it once or twice, and it wasn't a read; it was just literally just pure luck trying to pull it off. But I agree, it shouldn't have been in the game, but at the same time, it's not that strong because it's like Exodia in Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just never gonna happen, really. But it is better off without that because it shouldn't happen to someone. You could get incredibly unlucky getting punished with that. So I think that's fine.
Yeah. I mean, for me, every time I landed it was always luck. I mean, you more have an easier chance, yeah, with landing the unblockable up forward 1+2. You get more chance. So not up forward 1+2 is now up 1+2. The burning knuckle. You get more of a chance to just landing that in the open.
I mean, yeah, they're both unlikely, I suppose. But I do think the game is healthier without that because I can imagine being really upset if I got hit by that.
Yeah. So, but
that's fine. It's gone now.
Yeah.
Competitive, which is the vast majority of the community, by the way, being bad at breaking throws, so they just end up ducking, and oh look, he just hop kicked me and I lost the game. Combine this with the insane success of Tekken 8, introducing thousands of new players to Tekken for the very first time, and I can only imagine what it's like to play your first match of Tekken online and get chain throwed 3 times in a row. By the way, when I talk about the community throughout this video, keep in mind I'm not referring to the 1% of tournament players. I'm referring to the other 99% of players who aren't super competitive. The best online games aim to find a good balance between keeping pro players happy with the game's balancing and also appealing to the average players in average ranks. This isn't always easy to do, but again, before you send your angry comments yelling at me that tournament players don't struggle with King, so all the people complaining about it should just shut up and get good, keep this in mind. Like I said earlier, new players have always hated King, and now we have more new players than ever. This is why it seems like King's being hated so much more these days. We've seen a huge influx of new players, and not only new players, but also new content creators. Tons of new content creators like Lily Pichu, Pokimane, Scara, and probably way more are bringing more eyeballs in this game than ever. And wouldn't you know it, they're new players with big audiences, so they're naturally gonna hate King as well. And trust me, they really do hate King.
I hate King so much. I hate King, 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 I hate King.
But new players aside, King is also, in my opinion, one of the hardest matchups to learn in the game. Not because he's overly complicated or gimmicky, because he really isn't. It's just the nature of throws in Tekken 8, or in any Tekken game really. With other characters, when you say learn the matchup, we mean learning to duck strings, when to punish, when to sidestep. All these are super relevant in counterplay, but these can all be practiced relatively easily and don't require insane reaction time. Grabs in Tekken have a default 20 frame break window, and being able to break grabs on reaction might seem easy from the perspective of Tekken pros who've been playing this game for over 2 decades, but for the other 99% of the community, breaking grabs is hard. Very hard. And I feel like a lot of Tekken veterans forget about how difficult it is to break throws as a new player. And combine this with the fact that, again, the majority of the Tekken community plays the game online, not at in-person tournaments, meaning there's always going to be some delay, making breaking throws even harder, and Tekken's netcode is kind of stinky, making breaking throws online a lot more difficult than you think. Training reaction time takes a long time, sometimes months or even years, and I would...
Let's also not forget though, yeah, doing throws ain't that easy online either, right? You know, and I'm saying this for many Kings here. 'Cause I'm not the only one saying this, but we're starting to get a lot more misinputs than we were in Tekken 7. Like for instance, most King players are going for giant swing, and forward 1 comes out. That never happened on Tekken 7, but it's happening on Tekken 8.
I think because they've changed the movement a little bit, like you can do instant wall running super easily in this game, right?
Yeah.
So I do wonder if that's part of it, because you used to be able to do like 1-2, buffer giant swing, dash dash, giant swing, and it would still remember the giant swing input from the 1-2 buffer.
Yeah.
You can't do that anymore, it seems. I do wonder if that's something to do with the misinputs as well.
I remember they were trying to do something along the lines as well of have AI play for you, but then they sort of scrapped the idea. But it's starting to think, is some of that still in there? like it's going to predict what you may do in this position. Because there's definitely a lot of weird misinputs in this. So
Maybe.
but
It could be a remnant of that, I suppose. About throws in general, though, I do agree with what he's saying. Like, breaking throws is actually incredibly difficult. Just in Tekken in general, I think. Even in Tekken 7, it's really hard. It's just if you're in the competitive space, most people have learned to do it, so they'll do it more often than not. But if you're keeping the overall community in mind, I can see it is very difficult. It's one thing doing it in practice mode, but doing it in an actual game, when you're trying to keep everything else in mind, it is way harder.
yeah, it's definitely way harder.
I suppose the issue there is, like, in casual play or lower level play, grabs are super broken, even if they didn't have the counter hit property or the homing property. But in competitive play, in Tekken 7, they were like almost non-existent. Someone like King, even in high level play, not only did he not feature very often at all, but when he did, throws were just not a very common thing you'd see, because most high level players can break throws consistently, and obviously if you duck it or sidestep it, you get a launch punish. Even if you backdash away from it, you could get a launch, depending on your character. So I have a feeling he's going to talk about the homing and counter hit properties, but I'll wait to hear what he says before.
He's probably gonna do that. But yeah, it's true what you just said there. Throwing against the, I know he already just covered that he's not really going to talk about this from a tournament perspective. He's talking about it from the casual perspective. But from my perspective, I am only playing tournament level and high level tournament players, especially really good guys in ranked. So the thing is, grabbing them is not as easy, even though they is tracking and all that stuff now. Grabbing's still not that easy. It's hard to get close enough to grab the person because they already know what they're doing. So to try and try and keep you out of that as well, it's not. I mean, people make it sound like, oh, if you're a King player, just throw and you'll make it to Tekken God Supreme in no time. It's really not like that. But yeah,
it is hard to throw someone who's good at the game, for sure. It's definitely difficult.
So let's see what happened. Let's see what he talks about next.
I would honestly argue that training good throw breaks in Tekken is up there with other really hard things to learn, like the Korean backdash and the electric. And King is a character who's built around grabs. If you can't break his throws properly, then you really don't know the matchup, and you better have perfect defense and be perfectly ducking every throw, or be playing Alisa and spamming your chainsaw, or you're gonna get grabbed and have a really bad time. It sounded like I was joking just there, but funnily enough, mashing is actually one of the main ways to counter King players online right now. And it's why, despite his popularity, his win rate is actually pretty low. How are King players supposed to grab you if you're just mashing random buttons? But for the average Tekken player who just wants to play fundamentally,
I just said that. There you go, he just explained it. Yeah. For a busted character, that's a pretty low win rate, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, but different characters are different viabilities at different levels of play, I'd say. Though I do find it hard to believe that King is stronger at higher levels of play than lower levels of play, even in Tekken 8. But I don't think the only metric we should use is win rate. I think we can just look at a character objectively and decide for ourselves.
I've just clocked it. This is Shadow 20Z playing here, the clip he's using. Who's that he's playing? Is that I'm actually going to go back a little bit to see who it is he's playing.
they're supposed to grab you if you're just mashing random buttons. But for the average
Tekken
player
plays
who
this?
just wants to play fundamentally based and learn
Sikobi.
the game, yeah,
I've heard
they're
this
gonna be
name one
struggling.
time.
And listen, I'm not even saying I'm against throw breaks being far more inaccessible in Tekken compared to every other fighting game. I actually appreciate this in some ways, and fully acknowledge it's a part of the game's identity. I'm just trying to explain why this leads to characters like King feeling really unfair for the general public. as the counterplay to him is locked behind a very, very difficult thing that takes a lot of practice. I'm not even saying King is an unfair character. I personally don't mind fighting him, and I think there's a lot of characters in this game who are far more annoying to fight. But numbers don't lie. It would be disingenuous of us in the community to downplay thousands of people's experiences who are having major problems with the game. Most people who play Tekken can't break grabs. So again, it makes sense why most people hate this character. And him being as strong as he is right now definitely isn't helping. Okay, seriously, I have no idea why they buffed King in the latest patch. That was pretty funny. King is also currently the most played character according to the updated data from Not Quite Factual, so you're gonna run into this character a lot. You can learn all of his strings, but if you can't break throws, you're really not gonna be good at the matchup, and you're gonna lose a lot of points to this character. Breaking throws isn't just something you can practice in training mode and then never lose to it again, like a lot of other gimmicky strings. You have to put a lot of time. And honestly, even if you spent hours and hours in training mode practicing breaking throws on reaction, breaking them while in game is a whole different story. I've been trying to think of a solution to this issue, and it's honestly been really difficult. So where does this leave our Jaguar-loving wrestler? Well, it leaves him in a pretty terrible spot, where the majority of people either play him and love him, or hate him with a passion. I can't overstate how many comments I get about people absolutely despising this character. I don't envy the developers, as balancing a character like King to not be awful in a tournament environment where everyone knows how to break throws, but to also not be ridiculously overpowered and make everyone want to quit in lower levels doesn't sound like an easy task. And while again, he is very strong right now, I don't see nerfing him as really fixing the problem for the average player. He's strong, but there's plenty of other really broken characters. It's just the issue of throws, making the counterplay to him being so inaccessible for most players. This was an issue in Tekken 7. Any character who relies on grabs in a game where breaking grabs is this hard is always going to be hated. But if we're being honest, the Tekken 8 system changes made this a lot worse. So that's my best idea for a solution. The best solution I can think of is to just tone down the overall grab system in this game. Was there really a reason to make grabs track to both directions? Should Giant Swing be able to catch you sidestepping and do like 70 damage? No. Should grabs be unbreakable on reaction when used as counter hit tools? This just gives characters like King absolutely insane counter hit tools that essentially no other character has access to. This obviously wouldn't solve the problem completely, but it would make the character feel a lot more fair to fight in competitive and in casual play. And I think the community would respond really well to these changes. I'm thinking about actually making a full video about grabs in Tekken 8, because I just think grabs are such a big problem right now. And even without the Tekken changes, grabs in general make Tekken a lot more inaccessible than most people think. Let me know in the comments what you think about King in this game, or grabs in general. Do you think they're no issue at all, or do you have a huge problem with them? My general audience seems to really hate King, but I'm hoping this video will reach some new viewers, and I'd be really interested in seeing what you guys have to say about this issue. Let me know. I'll be down there discussing it with you guys as always. Anyway, that's about all I've got today. If you guys enjoyed the video and want to see more, please consider subscribing to the channel. Only about 9% of my viewers are subscribed, so it really helps out a lot. It's free to do, and you can always change your mind later. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.
Okay. Alright. So, honestly, that's a very good video. You know? He's put a good point across.
I do kind of want to add on to what he's talking about, though. Like, I feel he explained why casual players hate King.
Yeah.
And everything he said, almost everything he said, applies to Tekken 7 King as well. But there was far less hate for King in Tekken 7 than Tekken 8. At the end, he touched on the fact that they're homing now, and on counter hit, they're extremely difficult to break. You could say impossible, I suppose. I think that's why a lot of higher level players hate King, is because of that. Obviously, it is a universal thing, but King benefits from it far more than anyone else. Until Marduk's release, that is. I do think it's interesting because King, outside of throws, his tracking is quite bad. You can quite easily step him to the right, and a lot of his key moves will whiff. Homing throws, I don't know. Part of me thinks maybe double arm throws, including giant swing, should either not track. I know this sounds strange to say, but either not track or track both ways. And the one arm throws could track to that direction. Like in Tekken 7, Tijuana Twister would track to King's right side, but not to his left side. And that kind of makes sense animation wise. I wonder if that'd be a nice balance for players. Counter hit throws. I think counter hit throws are more fair in a way, to be honest. Though King does have a lot of strong counter hits already, but he has the worst backdash in Tekken history, so maybe giving him some defensive tools or letting him keep these defensive tools isn't a big issue in my opinion. It is a complicated subject. Yeah.
Well, personally, I think you hit the nail on the head with some of what you just said. To be honest, right? You know, because I do think the counter throws. I mean, what I think people need to remember is that we are now in the esports era. Not only are we having loads of casuals that are going to be coming and playing Tekken, we're also trying to appeal to people who watch Tekken tournaments as well. We're going to be wanting to watch Tekken tournaments. I want you to imagine, you're a wrestling fan, and
I am, by the way.
yeah, I want you to imagine, that someone who's a wrestling fan and who may not play Tekken, but who may watch Tekken, right? The high-level King players, I don't feel like they grabbed as much because high-level players are able to counter the grabs, that know how to duck the grabs and know how to sidestep the grabs. You know, I think like you know, once you can sidestep grabs and stuff like that, you more or less almost take King out of his game, and now King has to use more pokes and everything and all that. I feel like Lil Margin versus JDCR, I feel like except the forward three into the throws and except ground throws, Lil Margin more or less attempted about 7 throws in that whole set and only landed 2 of them. You know, everything else Lil Margin did to win that match was all counter hits, down forward 2s and everything like that, you know. And I got to just ask myself, if I was a wrestling fan who wanted to see throws, would I have been happy with that match? I feel like they're trying to make characters more themselves, fight the way they will fight in like if they were really here. You know, that's what I think. That's the direction I think they're going with Tekken 8. You know, they want to make King. They want to make King that his throws, like counter with a throw, punish with a throw. Not make his throws easier to get away from because he's a wrestler. Now I understand, that it's that's with everybody's throws, not just King. So therefore, what I'm saying don't really count for so much there. But you know, King's gonna be throwing. King's gonna be throwing, and I feel like as if now they're starting to make him King play so that at the highest level he can still do things that he just couldn't do in Tekken 7. That's the best way I'm looking at it.
No, I think you're right. I think it's almost unquestionable that you're right in what you're saying, that the reason they made throws stronger is because they're exciting to watch. And it's undeniable that they're giving characters more personality. I'm pretty sure they've actually just outright stated that, but even if not, Nina has guns, she's an assassin. Law has nunchucks. There's countless examples of stuff like this. Yeah. Which is kind of ironic because it feels like every character is a rushdown character, which actually takes away from individuality. But that's another topic anyway. It's definitely true they're designing this game for esports, because I think that the appeal of Tekken 7 for a lot of people was things like rage arts, even though they were kind of boring, slow-mos, stuff like that, and it became such a huge competitive game that they were obviously like, let's take this to the next level.
Yep.
Though I think that is a horrible way to balance a game, is what looks the most exciting to casual players, because as I've said to you before, Temp, I think it's a really annoying decision to balance the game for people who actually have very little interest in it. Even though these people could go on to pick up Tekken and become huge fans, you're prioritizing people who aren't fans of the game, and not disregarding, but it feels like people who do spend a lot of time playing Tekken and really care about it are kind of an afterthought. Obviously, they're going to listen to competitive players regarding balance going forward. We can see that with as a sentence Warren in 3-2.
Yeah.
But I do think it's a pretty horrible way to balance the game, is this exciting to look at or not. That being said, it sounds like I'm saying King is broken. I don't think he's top 5 at all. But I don't think that's a good justification. I think there are other areas you could look at with King, which wasn't discussed in this video, I guess because he's only talking about what makes King strong.
Yeah.
There are a lot of weaknesses to King, which I think are better justifications for the throw system, and also his heat smash, which he didn't mention.
Yeah, he didn't mention about the heat smash, but yeah, that probably might be another video. Obviously our focus was just more or less about this video overall, you know. But yeah, personally, all I can say about the comment about that they're prioritizing what looks good compared to like how the main players would love it, I guess I can't really say anything about that, because it is true. Quite a lot of the players are really disliking this game. It's like they're playing this game because they know that it's their full-time job. They want to be the best. They want to make a living with it, so they know they have to play it. But I can see that they look like they don't really like it. So, yeah. But me personally, I'm loving this game. I am having fun. You know, I'm going to just end with this. I don't believe King is top 5. I would not even use the word saying he's busted. But I am going to admit he is stronger than he was in Tekken 7.
No, of course, he was mid-tier at best in Tekken 7.
I'm definitely going to say that he is stronger, especially when I had some weaknesses in my gameplay in Tekken 7, which some of the new tools have sort of helped me rectify, should I say. So
I suppose that's where people's issues are, though. They're like, if someone's saying you're carried, what they mean is your weaknesses are made up for because of your character.
I know, but still, to say that I'm carried when I can't even get past Fujin just don't make sense to me. You know, I think everyone just uses the word carried for everything. And here's another thing I've got to say. Besides the fact that we're hearing all the hate for King, yeah, I also hear this character's busted, this character's busted, this character's busted. I literally heard, yeah, that Panda's busted the other day. Really? I heard this character's busted, this character's busted. It gets to the point where it's like, dude, isn't it just that every character is busted? It's just that the game is just more high powered.
I don't know. I think the system of this game is kind of overpowered in the sense that I'm talking about heat, right? If you get a heat engager, you get a free mix-up situation, and there's loads of chip damage. Heat smashes are really strong. A lot of characters do really high combo damage. There's still rage as well. Don't think I say every character is busted, but it is true that we're still in the first couple months of the game, so the meta, I suppose, will change a lot depending on what's figured out. But it does feel like people figure things out a lot quicker these days, even compared to early Tekken 7. I feel like people have really figured this game out quite quickly. But King, I guess I'll leave my leaving message as well. Is throws are very powerful in this game, but the strongest thing in this game, I think most people will agree, is heat. I think King's heat is kind of bad. I know a lot of people are going to hate me for that, but I say that because his heat smash is incredibly strong. I'll give you that on hit and block. It's one of the best. But his heat engages and heat dashes are just awful, honestly. He has forward 2-1, great whiff punisher, worst backdash in the game, so you don't get that many whiff punishers.
Yep.
Compared to Tekken 7 and compared to other characters. He can do it off of shove, admittedly. There is quite a lot of scaling after that though, so you don't get the full damage. His muscle armor is interesting. I think that has potential to be really strong, but that's going to take a lot of time for people to figure out, I think. It's still not entirely obvious how to use that yet. I think that's quite a complicated move. RKO, I think it can take quite a lot of conditioning to actually hit the RKO, and this is a first to 2 game online. And
Exactly.
And doing a raw Jaguar sprint is extremely weak. Which is, so even his enhanced move in heat is his Jaguar sprint, but to just throw it out is kind of pointless because you can just get beat out very easily. Someone will just hit you with a low.
Yeah.
His pedigree is okay as a heat engager. It's not great, it's not bad, it's okay, I guess. Am I forgetting one?
You forgot the pedigree. No, you just said it. Did you say the pedigree?
Pedigree, RKO, forward 2. Oh, the shoulder tackle.
Yeah.
I mean,
I ain't gonna lie. The shoulder tackle is actually a lot better than I. You know, when I first saw it in event, I wasn't really too sure about it, but I've been starting to use it a bit more, and I've got to be honest, yeah, it's quite strong because it's quite faster. It feels like it comes out of nowhere, and you can really take somebody off guard with it. So I will give that one. It's quite a good one, but still overall compared to everybody else's heat engagers, yeah, it's definitely King's one.
20 frames. It is still I-20, which
Yeah.
is faster than Tekken 7, but I'd still say that's slow. Especially we've got Reina on the screen right now. She has Sentai 3, which is an amazing heat engager. The Mishimas have forward 2 as a heat engager. There's loads of strong heat engagers in this game. It'll take ages to list them all. I don't think King has any of them, to be honest. Potentially, the muscle armor has potential, but right now, I don't think any of them can be actually considered strong. Which also means his heat dashes are terrible.
Yeah.
Again, you could do shove into 4-2-1, but the scaling is going to be extreme. Which is still good, but compared to most other characters, it's not that good. And then the other one is shoulder tackle for his heat dash, which I don't think is a very good option at all. There are some situations you can do a setup with it, like if your opponent's in face up, head towards, but overall I don't think it's very strong, which means recovering his heat with throws is not the greatest thing really. Like for a lot of characters that'd be amazing to be able to recover heat, but for King I feel like heat smash is just so obviously the best thing he has.
Yeah.
Heat. Also his Jaguar Sprint 2 being his strong aerial tailspin is really annoying because I feel like you can't hit that very often. So I think he has very clear strengths and very clear weaknesses.
Yep, and still that apparently will make us down players. So but anyway, obviously I've been talking about King in most people's chats, and I've been saying that I disagree with I've been disagreeing with them, saying that he's busted and completely overpowered, and hopefully our thoughts on this video and everything we've said today helps answers that. It probably may not, and I am actually planning to do a video where I'm going to be having a debate with a high level player who I'm not going to say which player it is yet, but I'm planning to have a debate with a high-level player. A mid-level player like me, but debating with a high-level player. Well, let's have both our different views come out, and maybe it might be a very good discussion. And we will talk about King. So hopefully that will happen soon, and then you will be able to hear more about the situation. But as for now, this person here, forgot his name is, very, very good video. I'll give him a like on the video, and well, thanks Charlie for coming for speaking this.
Thanks for having me on. Good
Yeah,
to see
man.
a video of you finally.
Yeah, man. Been waiting for this. And guys, if you like videos like this, yeah, let me know in the comments. Yeah, we may do more. Maybe we'll be able to join up more with the TKC. Because, hey, speaking about games and getting your voices out there is it's a big thing. Even if we're lower level players than the champs and stuff, I think it's important to hear our sides as well. So, yeah, so that's it, guys. Alright, so thanks very much. And we'll see you all later. Love who you are. And remember, #BuffKing.